It's Thursday, February the 17th. Hospital germs kill 5,000. Top that, shipman. Collymore in doghouse. I thought she kicked him out. Halliwell announces crack probe. He's after the good shit. Please welcome the man who's always high on life, Mr. Iain Lee.
Hello and welcome to the 11 o'clock show. Drugs, drugs, drugs. Everybody's taking them. Why, only last night I had a woman snorting cocaine off my cock. Well, you've got to provide an incentive, haven't you? Imagine 86-year-old and never touched it before. That's drugs, not my cock. Must ask her to take her teeth out next time. Smoother. It's better. Drugs are everywhere, even in schools. I mean, only this week, a girl of 8 was found with 1/8 of an ounce of cannabis. Now, that is absolutely terrible. Because we went metric in 1969. She should be using cocaine, all right? At least that comes in grams. In fact, you can buy Cheeky Charlie from that kid in Class A if he's not too busy doing 100 lines. You see what we're doing here? Clever. It might fuck up his education, but you should see that boy do the 100 metres in 10 seconds. And that's in the sack race, ladies and gentlemen. Talking of class, there are calls by the police to regard ecstasy as a soft drug. This is presumably so they don't get put away when they're caught dealing it. Of course, that's not true. Now, the latest trade and industry figures show that we are now exporting drugs to Holland. Next year, we hope to export tulips and hookers, but you can keep the fucking clogs, all right? And what about the other benefits? Our footballers can score on and off the pitch. Doctors can work 98 hours a week, and there are millions employed in the hobnob industry. Brilliant. Drugs are now so part of our culture that Downing Street is to hold a drug summit. I tell you what, you can count me in. If you're listening, Tony, roll me a fat one, and I don't mean John Prescott. But enough of these hallucinogenic hijinks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Class A girl I'm totally addicted to, Miss Daisy Donovan. How the hell are you?
Absolutely fucking wired, Brian.
Thanks, Daisy. Another issue cleared up there.
It's all right. Before you ask, here's what's coming up on tonight's show, Brian. Peter Piper from Portsmouth picks a pot of pickled pot pepper.
You know Fatboy Slim? Yeah. Well, he said, honestly, Pete, he said, you're the best DJ I've ever seen in my entire life.
Royal correspondent James Whittaker gives us his thoughts on Will, Fergie and Charlie.
And later on, I'll be finding out why young people have no respect for the pigs anymore.
Now it's time for tonight's headlines. Tonight's top stories.
Fashion news, and Victoria Adams made her catwalk debut during London Fashion Week. As she took to the stage, you could hear the other models muttering, "Who's that fat bitch?"
Pinochet's medical report has stated that the Mad General can't understand long sentences. This is because people in Chile don't get long sentences, they get shot.
A 13-year-old Nottingham girl who was given a mobile phone by her school because of bullying says she intends to take full advantage of BT's No Friends and Family. Childline have attacked the move. Childline have attacked the move with the spokesman saying it's bad enough her pestering us all evening. Now she can also call during the bloody day.
The bullies, however, are said to be overjoyed. It gives them something new to nick off her.
Bill Clinton reacted to news that hackers had dubbed the phrase "I want more porn" onto one of his internet addresses. He angrily retorted, "I said pussy, not porn."
At a press conference yesterday, Tony Blair explains why he thinks that Peter Mandelson is better equipped than Mo Mowlam when negotiating with the IRA.
He's got a big cock. The Anglican Church is considering new initiatives to boost church attendances. From Sunday, you can now go large with a wine and McWafer.
An expert has claimed that the internet turns people into socially inept losers. As the spokesman for the Internet Users Association responded, he blushed, looked at his feet, cleared his throat and popped into his bedroom for a wank.
And those were tonight's headlines.
It's been a week of disgrace for British sportsmen. Gascoigne breaks his arm with a punch, Collymore goes on the rampage in Spain, and Tim Henman strangled a dog in a Bournemouth toilet. Oh, I'm sorry. That should read comfortably won his first-round match at the ATP World Tournament in Rotterdam.
Here's Alex Lowe to clear up any confusion.
Soccer nutjob Stan Collymore returned to Britain in shame last night and was fined 2 weeks' wages after going on a drunken rampage at a luxury Spanish hotel. The incident casts fresh doubts over Collymore's career, which is now falling faster than a Swedish TV presenter down a flight of stairs. Collymore was on a 4-day break with his Leicester teammates, who, in a desperate attempt to shake off their boring image, decided to wreck the exclusive La Manga club. The incident has further strained Anglo-Spanish relations, with Spanish authorities complaining this wasn't exactly the vicious brain damage has-been we were expecting from Britain. When he joined Leicester just 6 days ago, Collymore claimed his troublemaking days were behind him. As well as signing an unusual pay-as-you-play deal with the club, he also agreed to the following terms in his contract. I, Stanley Victor Collymore, being of unsound mind, declare that I will 1. Stop being shit at football, 2. Stop beating up girls when the press are around, and 3. Stop going on and on and on about, ooh, I'm so depressed, ooh, my life is so rubbish, ooh. The Spanish fracas is just the latest episode in football's week of shame that saw 4 clubs charged with misconduct after weekend brawls, Paul Gascoigne break his arm in an assault on another player, and it is unlikely that anyone will ever forget the ugly scenes at Manchester United. Just as it seemed that English football could sink no lower, last night the wife of England star David Beckham was formally charged after it was revealed that during London Fashion Week she'd been smuggling peanuts. This has been Alex Lowe, the 11 o'clock show, La Manga, Spain.
So, for more on that story, go back live to Alex Lowe in La Manga. Alex, has there been any more news on last night's events?
Well, there have been a couple of developments, Ian. Ulrika Johnson has given a statement saying, nothing Stan does surprises me anymore. I imagine she was surprised when he jumped across that bar and kicked her head in, though.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. Has Stan Collymore made any statement?
Not yet, but we have found this, which is Stan Collymore's holiday diary. Day 1, got to the hotel and then went to the bar. Got a fire extinguisher and fired it up a lady's bottom. I truly have changed, as I didn't get the urge to belt her one.
And what did the Leicester City manager have to say?
Well, in his press conference, Martin O'Neill said, of course we're disappointed in Stan, but it swings and roundabouts. We fined him 2 weeks' wages, and he's only been here for a week. If he carries on like this, we'll be minted.
Thanks very much, Alex Lowe.
Yeah, thanks, Ian.
Now, I've always thought that hospitals are a bit like prostitutes. You never want to go to one, but sometimes it's the only thing that'll ease that pain. And now, just like a whore, you're likely to leave a hospital with more diseases than when you entered it.
A report out reveals that infections picked up on hospital wards kill thousands of patients every year. In fact, you're more likely to get a dose of the pox on Ward B than you are from half an hour in the toilet with Nicole Appleton. Hospitals just aren't healthy, which is why the NHS have come up with this.
A new code of conduct for doctors and nurses. Let's have a quick look.
Doctors, when examining a patient's swollen nuts, feel the injured testy whilst wearing surgical gloves. Do not prod the broken knacker with your biro and then put it back in your mouth.
Nurses, when giving an elderly patient a bed bath, it is no longer acceptable to provide a quick wrist-off for 50 pence. Coins carry germs and should not be handled while on duty. Ask for a cheque and don't forget to wash your hands.
Doctors, when syringing a patient's ear, dispose of the wax immediately. Don't mould it into toffee pennies and give it as treats to the kiddies for being so brave.
Finally, and most importantly, nurses, when taking a patient's temperature, place the thermometer under the tongue for an accurate reading. Do not stick your finger up their bum, sniff it and take a guess. Or, if you do, please wash your hands.
And that's our doctors' and nurses' codes of conduct. For part 1. Still to come in part 2, our royal correspondent James Whittaker gives us the latest on Britain's favourite German family, the Windsors.
But first, please take heed of this important special information film.
Daisy says, always feign brain damage when you've been accused of torture.
Welcome Welcome back to the 11 o'clock show on Thursday the 17th of February. Later on, our showbiz reporter Peter Piper meets pop superstars Blur. But first time for another look at today's headlines. Scientists say loud music is a sexual turn-on. Chris de Burgh says, I'm going metal. Adam says the Irish peace process is in the waste paper bin, just under the bomb. And finally, I'm not mad. Pinochet tells his chair.
Earlier this week, Jack Straw announced that police forces around the country will be given 5-year targets to slash burglary and car crime. Here's Iain's report on the problems facing the police.
Despite the best efforts of the police, crime levels remain sky high. But what exactly are these honest, intelligent and kind-hearted individuals doing wrong? I've come here to Cardiff to find out. Why do you think that young people today have got no respect for the pigs?
Probably because we talk about them.
Yeah. Do you think that it's because the police are run by a chap called Sir Paul Condon that there's no respect for them?
No, I don't think so.
Think about it, because listen to his name, Condon. Condon.
Yeah,
Condom. Rubber Johnny.
I know what you mean, yes.
It's funny.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's that.
You've got to admit, when he...
retired,
when he used to come on the telly, when he used to be in charge of the police, he'd come on the telly, Sir Paul Condon would come up. You had a little chuckle, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Very childish, isn't it?
Human nature.
Should we allow lesbians to be policemen?
Yes.
Is that because they can bring their own DMs?
They've got special skills, and if we've got special skills...
I think we know what special skills the lesbians have got. All that, whatever. Should we draft in American officers like Ironside to help solve downstairs crime?
Well, I suppose there's a possibility that it might be of assistance.
Even though he's a fictional TV character?
May well be, yes, yes.
Millions and millions of pounds, including your tax money, is being spent to buy machine guns and shielding for a futuristic sort of space bike called Street Hawk. It's based on the 80s American TV series. I mean, and this is completely made up as well, what I'm saying. Do you think it's right that that money is being spent like that?
No, no money should be spent on guns, especially public money.
Yeah. Even though I'm actually making this up?
Yeah.
As a gay man, do you respect the police's right to actually search your bum whenever they want?
Well, I don't think so, no. No, no, I don't.
You would say, no, I'm a gay man, I've got rights.
Quite.
Should thieves be policemen? Because think about it, they know a lot more about crime than the police do, don't they? Ah.
Well, I don't see why not.
That would be really stupid, though, wouldn't it?
Why?
Well, they're thieves, they'll still go around stealing and murdering and stuff.
Well, they're doing it anyhow, so what's the difference?
You might as well employ them with the police as well.
Put them there where you can keep an eye on them.
They'll be fine.
Put them there, you can keep an eye on them.
In the police force?
In the police force.
It's a ridiculous idea, though, isn't it?
Well, everything's ridiculous these days.
Yeah. So there we have it. While there may be a lack of respect for the police, on the streets, a policeman's lot is still a happy one. This has been Iain Lee, the 11 o'clock show, Cardiff.
Now time to tell you about tonight's guest. He's stuck with the royals through the good times. He's stuck with the royals through the bad times. They just can't get rid of him. And neither can we. Please welcome Mr. James Whittaker.
Take a seat, please. Now, thanks very much for popping in.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Now, with the royals very much in the news this week, we'd like the inside track and all the topical royal stories. We've got a few questions for you.
Now, Edward and Sophie.
Yeah.
Just a sham couple?
To me, it was always a joke wedding. It was just an arrangement.
Isn't she?
I'm sorry, she's...
A beard.
If I knew what you meant, I'm sure I'd agree.
That is when... I don't know...
A marriage of convenience.
Yes, you have a lady, but you don't really like ladies.
Oh, I see.
Your lady's there.
I would sort of go down that line, yes.
Is that, I mean, is that...
Are we talking about the love that dare not speak its name?
I
think
yes.
OK, now, Andrew will be 40 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is he the most boring man in the royal family?
It's hard to think of one more boring, isn't it?
Why doesn't Tony Blair want Charles to be king?
Well, the hell with Tony Blair. I don't think the Queen wants Charles to be king. She has to die first. Look, there is a...
That is the initial problem, but... what does she think
Because
is wrong with
Prince
him?
Charles is fairly outspoken. There's always the problem here. He does make comments which the government construe as political comments. He says, no, they're not. They're humanitarian ones. I would go with Prince Charles on this. But some of the things he says, you know, most of what Prince Charles may be a bit off the wall at times, but a lot of what he says is very sensible. And a number of things that he pontificates on are embarrassing to the government. And Blair and Charles don't get on that well together. And, of course, Charles would have to change if he were king. He could not be as outspoken as the sovereign as he is as the Prince of Wales. He's in a much stronger position now.
I'll tell you something, Prince Charles may not be the most popular royal, but I would certainly give him one.
On his brother's birthday.
That would be a treat. That would be a story, wouldn't it?
James, we'd like you to bust the royal myths that have been going around pubs all over Britain for a few years. Which of the following stories are hits and which are myths? Fergie left Andrew after she caught him shagging a sailor. Hit or myth?
Myth.
OK, fair enough.
You're not convinced, but...
I'm not convinced.
No, I know. It has been going around for some time. Just nonsense.
OK, Prince Harry is actually James Hewitt's son. Hit or myth?
Absolutely revolting, that. It is a horrible suggestion which James Hewitt himself tried to get into the public arena.
Oh, was it him
but
that
the
started
truth
it?
is, although they'd met terribly briefly once in 1981, very, very briefly, Hewitt and Princess Diana were not together in those days. No, foul myth.
I don't like James Hewitt.
No, you don't like James
No,
Hewitt either.
ghastly.
Okay.
He refuses to do a show with me. Get him on with me. He won't ever do it. He ran out of a studio the other day when Trevor McDonald was grilling us both, and he ran. Because Trevor said, we're bringing James in. Off he went.
Little baby running away.
Come here, Hewitt. I want you here. We'll sort that out. OK, and finally...
You didn't say you'd give him one, did you?
No. I'm not that keen on him. OK, final hit or myth. The Queen Mum died in 1978 and is actually a dummy powered by animatronics, a bit like Metal Mickey. Hit or myth?
Well, I'll tell you what, the one who's been impersonating ever since does a tremendous job and loves gin and Dubonnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Whittaker.
Now, there are always two ways of looking at things. The optimist looks at the bottle and thinks it's half full, whereas the pessimist looks at the bottle and thinks, my life is shit and pointless.
This week has been full of highs and lows, so let's see who's going down and who's on uppers. In this week's Good News, Bad News.
Bad news.
Australian officials have banned Linford Christie from using sporting facilities in New South Wales. Good news.
He doesn't care. He lives in Norwich.
Good news.
A radio station ran a hilarious Valentine's contest with a divorce as first prize. Bad news.
Second prize was a bitter argument in a local restaurant.
Good news.
Following a lengthy investigation, scientists have discovered that loud music stimulates the inner ear. Bad news.
Still no word on that cure for cancer.
Good news.
Unemployment is at a 20-year low. Bad news.
It's a ratings disaster for Countdown.
Good news.
Scientists have discovered that eating chocolate boosts the immune system. Bad news.
Still no word on that cure for cancer. Good news.
For heavy internet users, Gordon Brown plans to halve the cost of the web. Bad news.
For heavy internet users, he's paying for it with a tax on wanking.
Good news.
Customs officials have unveiled an X-ray device that sees through your clothes so you don't have to strip for them. Bad news.
It gives you cancer.
And that was this week's Good News, Bad News. Daisy, London, Paris, New York, Munich. Everybody talking about...
Queer as folk?
No, it's pop music. And one man who knows all about it is our entertainment correspondent, Peter Piper, who picks a pot of pickled pepper pot pepper at a Premier Pop party.
All right, the old cockers. I'm Peter Piper, I'm from Portsmouth, and I know a thing or two about music, which is why Channel 4 have brought me in as their resident expert on the 11 o'clock show. And I'm here at the NME Carling Premier Awards to interview some of the stars, so-called. What are you up for then?
Don't know.
You don't know what you're up for.
I'm just up for it.
You're up for it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. Have you ever been to Portsmouth?
Once, yeah, we did a gig down there.
Yeah, do you like it?
It was all right.
Brilliant, isn't it? Are you with a band?
Blur, yeah.
You're with Blur, are you? Yeah, I've heard of them. Like, they're all right, aren't they? Not a bad band. Fatboy Slim said I was the best DJ he'd ever seen. Like, no. So I used to do a bit of DJing a few years ago. But no, I mean, I could have had all the, you know, like, all the, you know, girls and all the groupies and all that. But to be perfectly honest with you, I prefer to masturbate at the end of the day. You know, that's like more what I like to do. You know, Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said honestly, Pete, he said you're the best DJ I've ever seen in my entire life. Right, you know that Fatboy Slim?
Yeah.
Right. He come up to me, right, and he said honestly, Peter, he said you are the best DJ I've ever seen in my entire life. You know that now? What's it called again? That hit he had. Now then, not now, not here. Right here, yeah. Right now, yeah. Well, he got that off of me, like. You know that, like, right here, right now, I gave him that.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. You want to sue him then? Get some money out of him?
No, I'll give it to him for a favour, like, you know. Yeah, but I let him have it because I didn't want all the hassle of all the fame and all that bollocks, you know. Yeah, I'd just rather be a normal bloke, a few beers, game of darts with my mates down the pub at the end of the day. He said he wanted me to do this, like, stadium tour of the United States, like, you know. And like £5 million, something like that. But I said, no, to be perfectly honest with you, know, thanks, but I can't be bothered.
Well, that's nearly all from tonight's show.
Before we go, some late news. After Clinton's recent internet chat where hackers made the president appear to say rude words, evidence has come to light that they're doing the same thing to his television appearances.
A year ago, at this time, the Irish had no taste of what
my semen
was like.
And finally, some shows step over the line of taste and decency without a second thought. But not the 11 o'clock show. We sent Ricky Gervais to find out just how far is too far. Good night.
Good night.
Do you think it's acceptable to show pornography pre-watershed?
Pre-watershed? Absolutely not. I think that the television is not the place for pornography, to be honest, and I don't think it's a good idea.
What about showing two lions having intercourse on a wildlife programme? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's all right, yes.
What about two chimps having intercourse? Is that okay?
Well, I'd rather not be watching it myself.
There was a story in the paper yesterday about a 10-year-old boy who was killed in a road accident in his own street. Is there anything funny about that?
No.
He was actually a fat ginger kid. He was on a girl's bike.
So?
With a little pink basket and tassels. He was chasing an ice cream van. What if you looked a bit closer and you actually saw it was two benders in costumes faking the documentary because nothing had happened?
I don't think people dressing up in costumes is really what... and faking animal sex is really what I want to be watching.